Iconic. Welcome, resistance frog, anti-fascist frog, freedom frog, to our YouTube show. How are you? Can you breathe okay in there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you this time. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing great. I am relaxing at home in my comfortable home, and yeah.
Amazing. Well, I feel like I'm kind of fangirling a little bit right now, but very grateful for your time. We can kind of jump right into it. Do you think federal agents have been briefed about you before these protests? Do you think you're now kind of like top of
Um,
their radar?
I often think a lot of the time I do think about like what goes through their mind as they like have to stare at me in this frog costume while I am doing absolutely nothing and they're being hella aggressive towards us. But I'm pretty sure they're aware of my existence. I have been a thorn in their side for quite a while, so yeah, I'm positive that they're aware.
Watching some of the live streams out of Portland and saw that you now are joined not only by like another cast of characters, but by your fellow amphibians, and that the frogs are multiplying out there. What's that been like?
Quite an experience to know that I've been able to utilize my voice and my powers as a magical toad to sort of bring together more ridiculous costumes to combat fascism in a fun way.
Did you first show up in the as Toad, or were you showing up as yourself before? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Originally, I showed up as myself. I was just simply there as well. I go by Toad off and on the ground, so that's kind
Oh,
of
you
just
do?
my name.
Okay.
Yeah, um,
What's the lore behind that?
like toads and frogs. And so I just started going out there to kind of just because I was curious as to what it was, to what they were protesting, and then I started learning and doing more research into how ICE and DHS are what they're doing to our immigrants, and it just sparked something in me, and then I just started showing up. I've been out there since like early June, and,
Amazing.
and it's been a hell of an experience. But the frog didn't come until like quite later. I had three iterations of this suit, and
What
I
were
didn't
the
start
earlier
wearing.
iterations?
It was the same costume. They just kept breaking.
Ah,
The first one, the zipper broke. The second one, I lost the fan, and then the third one, and it got pepper sprayed.
we saw the pepper spray, and I think that also just gave a visual to everyone around the world in the US with like how ridiculous and how brutal the overreach is.
Yeah.
Besides the pepper spray, have they used other tactics on you and your peers and your fellow frogs and toads?
Well, the go-to one is the pepper balls. They like to shoot us from the roofs a
Mm.
lot of the times. And this thing is pretty impervious to the pepper balls. The only issue is that the pepper dust stays on. So if I wear it for too long afterwards, the dust starts to spread everywhere and gets everybody like coughing and everything. So I gotta be careful about that. Other than that, they just usually shove us really hard, as you can see in the video
Yeah, provoking.
with that pepper. Yeah, they like to provoke and agitate, and there's a lot of right wing agitators there too.
Yep.
So we have to kind of like be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're doing everything we can in our power to push back against the narrative of us being violent when it's just really just the right wing grifters and the DHS and ICE that are the ones that are agitating and provoking and looking for that violent reaction, and it's important to remember that we can't give them that.
Have they also like what's the most aggressive encounter you've had with them? Is that one where they sprayed the pepper spray or the
No, I've been arrested 3 times by these losers.
Jesus.
Um, Back from and on July 8th, and then again twice on the 23rd of August.
Damn.
Arrested.
And
So the thing about the facility out here in Portland is they have a land use permit, and what's specific about that is I think part of their requirements is they can't, because they have like 4 holding cells, and that's they don't have the necessary resources to fully have people there long term. So their requirement is they can only hold somebody there for 12 hours. But usually, if they're really wanting to charge somebody, they'll detain them for a while and do their investigation, and then they'll ship them off to the county jail, and then will be usually they get people that are detained get released from county. I haven't been to county, but I have spent up to 4 hours in there. That was the longest time I was held there, and it was not that bad. I just kept harassing them while on the inside.
Ha,
Because they
did you
do.
make some friends while you were there, or were you?
No, I was in the cell by myself. Most of the time when I'm detained, I'm usually in the cell by myself.
Knew you'd be too powerful of a mobilizer otherwise.
I never had to post bail. I've
Okay,
never been
good.
sent to county. They usually detain me, hold me for 4 hours, give me a citation, and then release me, and then I'm good to go. Um, but if I should ever needed that, I do know where to go. I do know the resources that are out there.
Good.
I get a lot of messages and asking if I'm okay. I get a lot of DMs of support. So it's nice, but I don't think any local people, any local politicians or anything big have reached out. That's fine. I'm not here. I'm not here to get the support of people. I'm just here protesting, trying to resist fascism in my community. So that's kind of all it is.
I see the Mexican flag behind you. Or do you have Mexican heritage? Do you
Yes,
stand in
I am
solidarity?
Latino. I stand in
And
solidarity with my Mexican brothers and sisters.
amazing. And have you had family members personally impacted? I'm sure everyone's kind of living in fear, rightfully so.
I was adopted, so I don't really know my heritage like that. But not any personal family members that I know of, but I do know friends whose families have been affected, and that's just as important. And that means just as much to me as
Yeah.
it would if it was my own brother or own sister. And um, definitely being put on the spotlight now, being making national news and stuff like that, probably will put a target on my back, and I'm okay with that.
Has your community, to that point changed since ICE really ramped up the enforcement and occupation and the kidnappings?
There's a lot of worry, a lot of fear. I think a lot of questions because they're not the narrative is that they're going after criminals, but
Mhm.
they're showing up to grab these people are schools and work sites, and they're arresting kids. They're arresting hardworking people that are just there to make money to survive and build a better life for their family, and it's disgusting what they're doing. And I think there's a lot of fear going around, and that's kind of what the frog symbolizes. We're not wanting to live in fear. We're wanting to live our lives as comfortably as possible, and it's hard to do that with this administration on our backs.
Mhm. And what does it do to a community when a mother, you know, I've heard the cries in the videos in my own community, seeing videos in Culver City and in Chicago of mothers crying out in like agony as they're ripped from their cars at school pickup. Like, what does it do to a family when that happens? Like, from your frog POV.
I'm sure it breaks my heart. I'm left with a broken heart, so
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it's like to be in that position. Um,
Mhm.
it must be terrifying, and it's heartbreaking, and
Yeah.
I hate to see it, and that's why I'm out here trying to prevent that from continuing happening.
Mhm. I know for me, the longest kind of run I've done of consistent demonstrations was during the Black Lives Matter uprising in 2020. I demonstrated for 60 days straight and joined demonstrations by high school organizers, by young folks. And for me, it was such a powerful experience in kind of being in community and resisting, and it was a place where you go and like can have your hope restored during like the darkest of times and also kind of play off of that collective energy of everyone else and know that like we are stronger together and we can resist. We're seeing that resistance with you and the frogs multiplying in Portland in a very uniquely Portland way with like keeping it weird and fun. We're seeing that with Chicago folks banding together and resisting against ICE people using the bathrooms and eating food there. Like you don't get to kidnap our community members and then like have a lunch break, get real.
Right.
So like what has been like some of the most powerful parts of joining in community and being a part of the movement and resistance to you? Like what keeps you showing up as often as you do in in your regalia?
Just knowing that we're making a small difference here and everywhere. I know I get a lot of messages saying that I'm inspiring people to show up. I've met quite a few people down on the ground and at a couple rallies that I go to dressed up, and people keep coming up and saying, "Oh, you're the reason why I came out here today." Um, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, Showing up for the community, it matters, and no matter if you think it makes a difference or not, just being out there, being a human being out there and showing support for what is happening, it shows that, people are hearing the call and people are answering and rising up against what is happening. And I think that's important to remember.
If you could say something to Christy Nome directly to her face, what would you say?
I want to share. I'd say a lot of things.
You can say as many things as you want.
I tell her that her plastic surgery up. She did. They did it. They did her dirty.
Hmm.
And stay away from my dogs.
Hmm.
And, come back to Portland and
Hmm.
actually visit the city other than that one blocked off part you had for your entire trip. Because it's not the government's not covering it up. I think you're just talking out. I think she's just talking out of her
Hmm.
and has no idea what she's doing. Very unqualified person to be in her position. The whole administration.
Deplorable. What do you think federal agents do after pepper spraying a frog when they're laying in bed at night or having dinner with their family? What do you think they say to them about how their day was?
I, it's hard because it's hard to think like a fascist when I'm
It
not a
really
fascist.
is.
Um, for me, there's no way you can justify spraying a frog, like spraying someone on the frog suit. It's hard to justify that to any degree. Um, it's hard to justify it. You'd have to lie pretty hard to yourself to think that what you're doing, the brutalization you're committing against protesters, it's you'd have to lie pretty hard to yourself to convince yourself that you're doing is good and right
Hmm.
and the moral um, the moral you have moral high ground, so to speak. It's I can't imagine being an ICE agent and thinking I'm doing something good. I guess they just lie themselves to sleep, or cry them. I hope they cry themselves to
I
sleep.
hope they cry themselves to sleep too. I hope they look inward. Do you need anything? Like how, aside from showing up, how can people support you? How can people support people on the ground as part of the resistance?
Um,
Because there's such a cost to your time and energy and what you've been through. Like how can we support you and families in Portland
Showing up. I
showing up?
think showing up really matters. Um, there's a whole bunch of community mutual aid funds. Um, I think matters the most. Being there, sacrificing your time and energy is the biggest thing you can offer to the movement, and just being there because it means a lot. It shows that we are in solidarity, we are against fascism, and most importantly, it means you're not being silent. And if you are silent, you are complicit to what is happening. And what is happening is absolutely disgusting, deplorable, and I wouldn't want to be silent in a time like this. I'd want to be loud and very loud.
Living through the darkest fucking time ever. Okay. Question from Mr. Captain Saudi. He calls you Green Ranger. He said his first question is, Are you okay? You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
He said, "You're staying tough and knowing after the recent event, he shouldn't let this stop him." So some words of encouragement. And if he's going to keep doing what he's doing, he's really put a smile and a positive outlook on things. Also, he should definitely try to meet up with Robbie Roadster, and that you remind him of Robbie Roadster. I don't know if you know who Robbie
Nice.
Roadster is,
I,
so.
I don't. I'm gonna be too young for that.
Yeah, well, that would be a fun little Google after this. But anything else you want to add? Again, I'm wearing green in resistance, in solidarity with my frog people. I also might be a frog for Halloween, you for Halloween, and my dog too. Um,
Oh yeah.
little, so stay tuned. But anything you want to add? Any like final like calls of rallying cries to the
I
fellow
think
amphibians and resistors?
I think wherever you are, however you want to show up, whether that's in a ridiculous inflatable frog costume or just in normal black cloth, um, I think it's important to just be there. And yeah, it's gonna suck if they brutalize you, but just know that what you're standing up for, what you're standing up against, is even more important, and it's worth the sacrifices. Because as a human being, from one human being to another, I wouldn't want to be treated the way that they are treating our immigrant friends, and therefore, I'm not going to allow for that to continue to happen. So I think just showing up, whether that's in a goofy frog costume or whatever other animal is your favorite animal you want to dress up as, just showing how ridiculous the narrative is that's being pushed out there throughout this country, I think is very important. And a couple of helpful tips is to make sure if you do wear an inflatable suit, know where your air vent is, know where your zippers are, so that way if you do get sprayed, get out quickly. And also, probably be a good idea to invest in a gas mask if you do,
Mhm.
because it can get pretty spicy in here. But I'm sure we've all had spicier, so just be strong and fuck Trump. Fuck this fascist dick, dude.
Hmm. Resist. Families belong together. Defund the police and get rid of ICE.
Yep.
Freedom Frog, anti-fascist frog. Thank you so much. This was the highlight of my life. I cannot wait to see you in the history books if we don't get rid of history in the next couple years.
Right.
But I believe together we are stronger than them, and we got this. So thank you so much for your time and putting your body on the line. You're a hero to so
Thank you.
many, and you inspire me. And thank you. So
Thank you for
you
your
out
time.
there
I
and
appreciate
take
it.
care. Bye.
All right. Bye.